What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, it's me, Mukala Bongo, and I'm bringing you another special edition of Athletes Corner. And this time, we got a certified superstar, Everett High senior defensive back, outside linebacker, quarterback, wide receiver. He did it all for the Everett High football team. We got Christian Zamor. Christian was an all-state player. He was the Greater Boston League MVP and just all-around great student athlete. So we talked about his 2023 senior season. We talked about life outside of football, his faith. We talked about athletes in Christ. It's something he put together. And it was just a great time, great conversation with the young man. So check this Athletes Corner out. I hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner. And today we are joined by Everett High senior Christian Zamor. What is going on, my guy? How are you, man?
Doing good, bro. Doing good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for dropping by. It's been the journey for you playing football at Everett, but I mean, when I talked to you after that, I think the game against Classical, it was like surreal for you, like for that moment, your time coming up. But when you look back at the season, what was kind of your biggest takeaways from the season that you had, and then like your 4 years there?
Yeah, I think when I think of that whole time and some of the biggest takeaways, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just overcoming adversity. I think for me, just even coming in, starting up high school, had an injury early on, so wasn't able to play my freshman, sophomore year. So really junior year was my first time, and that was a moment where I had to overcome adversity. And then even for us this past season, we had our head coach step down, and we didn't really know who was going to be the head coach until around July, a few weeks away from camp. And so that was a moment of adversity that we had to overcome. And throughout the season, I think one of the games that really sort of represents that was our game against BC High. It's probably one of the craziest games I've ever been a part of. But, that's a game, you got to, late in the game, hit the game-winning field goal. I think that sort of like represents our season. Yeah. It's like, things happen, represents my, my time at Everett High School, but yeah, things happen, and it's about, you hear the saying, it's not about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Yeah. And so with the injuries, with the coaching changes, with our season overall, it's all been about just overcoming something. Yeah.
How were, in that span, when the team didn't know who was going to be the head coach for that period of time, how were you guys able to just come together and get those workouts in or get the preparation going, because a couple months away, season was coming. So how are you guys able to get everyone together and just everybody fall in line until the new head coach comes in? So when he comes in, it won't be like you guys are out of sync and not understanding what you're doing, or as a group.
Yeah. To be fully honest with you, with Coach Flores coming in, that was sort of like the big focus with him coming in is bringing us together. Because I think, it's a lot with the changes, but we had some guys still coming to the weight room. We had some guys, doing field work, staying ready. But him coming in, shout out to him, because he came in and he brought us together as a team, held us accountable, and really brought us to one focus for the season.
And it seemed like the style that he brought in, it seemed like it was like non-traditional Everett style of football. It was like more spread and all that. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think we especially on offense, we really opened it up this season. And we've always had very skilled, very talented guys, and so I think Coach Flores, he saw what we had, and he definitely pushed us, challenged us a bit with the new offense, but I think it worked out greatly for us. Yeah. We did very well in the passing game, and I think we had a very explosive offense.
Yeah, Zavarian, BC High, two two games against two top teams in the state. It was really games that came down to pretty much the last few plays, a play here and there. What did you guys learn from those two games, especially the Zavarian game, because you guys were down early and then you guys made a run at it late in the game and put yourselves in a position to almost win that game. So what was the learning experience from those two games?
Yeah. Again, like I said, I think it's about just staying focused and overcoming. Mm-hmm. You know, I think both of those games, you go in halftime and, you know, we're starting off a little slow. Things haven't been going exactly as we want, whether it's Everett or BC High. And we come out and, you know, we put together a strong run. And, you know, with BC High, it worked out for us. And Everett, we fell a little bit short. But I think, I think just learning as a team that doesn't matter how we start, but if we really lock in and we focus on what we need to and we control what we can control, we can change the outlook at the end of the game.
Yeah, and you were such a versatile player on that team. They had you everywhere, offensively and defensively. It was like you play quarterback, you'd be on running back, you'd be a receiver, and then you'd be a linebacker. You'd even be a D end at some points, or the defensive back. Is that just how, like, with training for football and your football preparation training, is that just how you kind of figured out that you are a versatile player that could be, and the coaches figured that out, that they could use you on any parts of the field?
Yeah, I think going into high school, I felt like, especially on defense, that I was a versatile player. I think someone I tried to sort of pattern my game after is Isaiah Simmons when he was at Clemson. Mm-hmm. And I think God has gifted me with a lot of athleticism and also the knowledge to be able to understand, like, the different aspects of those positions. And so I think, you know, our defensive coach did a great job, allowed me to play freely, but also take on different responsibilities and trust me with that, you know, because there has to be a trust between the coach and the player to put him in those positions. Yeah,
and I think, there was a game against English when you broke free, like a 90-yard run or something like that. Attribute to your offensive line. There was a lot of times in a lot of games that the running backs or whoever was running, there was a lot of holes for them to hit to make up big runs. What can you say about those guys up front? The way they blocked for you guys this past season.
Yeah, that's our big five. Those guys, they're great. I mean, getting back there at Wildcat, like, the holes were there. For our running back Damien, the holes were there. You know, shout out to my guy CJ. He's one of the leaders on that line. We got Carlos, he's a center. Chris, Fab, those are my guys. You know, and I think what was different about them, I think they worked as one. You know, like even off the field. Like, you could see, like, these guys are tight. They have a good friendship, and that just played on the field where they were working together to create those openings.
Yeah, you were named the Greater Boston League MVP. You were named to the All-State team, Herald team as well. A lot of accolades for you, man. How proud are you for that success? And also, your mom got to see you play for the first time this past season, correct?
It was the second time ever.
Second time ever, right?
Yeah.
So you getting all those accolades, and then your mom was able to get to see you play. How happy were you that all this was happening for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all God. You know, like going through my injury, starting off my high school career, there were times where there was doubts, but God got me through that. My faith got me through that, and I mean, everything that I am, you know, you can't build a house without first being given the tools to build it. Mm-hmm. And I think when I see all those accolades, yes, there's a sense of, like, you know, I put in work, and it's to see the results of that. There's a sense of, like, appreciation for it, but you know, all the glory goes to God. Mm-hmm. None of that is possible without Him. And there's a lot of factors that go into place, people He places around me, puts in my life to be able to accomplish and fulfill the potential that He's given me. And yeah, it was great to have my mom and my dad and my younger brother and my aunt. They came to the game against Lynn Classical, so that's definitely great. You know, I always had a good support system around me, but definitely it's all God, man.
Yeah. When you saw the success of your older brother, and him being able to get a college scholarship for football. How much harder did that make you work and try to pave your own way, pave your own legacy? Just seeing how he was able to do what he did and go on to the next level.
Yeah, I think him sort of paving the way, it opened. I think it just shows like the possibility, like because we talked about things like that. We talked about playing college football. We'd play together all the time, and so seeing him do it, I think makes it that much more of a reality to me that it can be a possibility for me as well and my younger brother. So I think he's definitely paved the way, and I tell him that, and I thank him for that, for what he's done.
Yeah, off the field, you do a lot of stuff. I see you got the sermons on Sundays. Athletes in Christ, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have that going. How did the Athletes in Christ come together? How were you in the collective were able to put that together?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean that was something that was on my mind earlier around the time of the season. And I think, there's a lot of athletes that here in Mass that sort of profess their faith, and for me, I'm very passionate about it. I think that sort of like I said, like everything I have is because of God, and so with that understanding, everything I do is for Him. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to create a space where athletes who are like-minded, who want to pursue a relationship with God, can come together and talk about that stuff, talk about sort of, because it's a different avenue being an athlete and trying to stay faithful to your relationship with God. And so I just want to be able to create that space, and people are down for it, and it's a growing community.
Yeah, was that always just like the sermon aspect? Is that something always that you always wanted to had in you, like to be able to preach to the people, or is that just something you grew into, or it was just like one day you was just like, this is something I'm intrigued in, and I want to try and get better at it?
Yeah, no, definitely was not something that I started focusing on. I mean, I would get up there in elementary school and just like start sweating. I couldn't speak in front of people. So no, it was about 3 years ago, almost 4 now, where I started studying the Bible, mm-hmm. and my faith wasn't really that big of a part of my life. But when I studied the Bible and I really understood for myself what it means to follow God, not just being brought to church like by my parents and stuff, that's when I created that passion for myself. And through like leading Bible studies and being able to preach here and there, I saw that it was something God had gifted me with in terms of the talent to be able to speak. Yeah. And again, it was just another way that I could glorify God and impact other people and help other people who want to get closer to Him. Yeah,
because that's so important, because that sometimes, at a point in life, some people might get lost in everything, especially when you're a teenager, you're trying to find yourself, or trying to figure out who you are just as an individual, as a person. And I think like stuff like that, and you don't have to be in that world, but if you give it a shot and then you fully understand it, and you just start gravitating more to it, and then that's when people get a better understanding of who they are if they do commit into life with Christ, or just try to understand the Bible and stuff like that. I think that's a very important thing, just because it helps people find out who they really are, and then find out their purpose.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you guys hold the service on live, on Instagram Live?
Yeah. So for the Athletes in Christ, we do that every other Sunday. Okay. And we have like a Instagram group chat, and we'll all hop on Zoom, and that's how we'll do it.
Yeah. How good does that feel that you are getting other athletes in Massachusetts that are interested, that do come in, that do pop in, and that attend and are trying to understand and are part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I think, like I said, my whole thing is using what God has given me to be able to glorify Him. And so when I think of the talent, the platform that football gives, and then mm-hmm. my faith in God, it's sort of like the accumulation of that, being able to have the Athletes in Christ. It's using that platform to glorify God, which is what I've set out to do.
Yeah. You did reopen your recruitment. What schools contacted you after they found out that you were reopening your recruitment, and what schools were interested in getting you on their campus and showing interest?
Yes, sir. So I've talked to a lot of Ivy schools. Academics are a big part for me. So I've talked to Princeton, Columbia. I've talked to Harvard, Brown, and other schools have reached out, like UMass, Holy Cross. But I think the biggest focuses have been the Ivies most recently. But a few schools have reached out.
Yeah, definitely. That's dope. Seeing the national championship, seeing Everett's own Mike be making that big play in the national title game, getting the national title. As far as just like for Everett community, the Everett football program, when you saw that, and then you also see guys like Isaiah, he's in the postseason right now, still got a chance to make a Super Bowl run. Like, what does that do for the next group of Everett athletes that want to get to that level when they see those guys are doing that at high level? Josiah too as well. Yeah,
I think it's huge, man. I think it's huge because, especially in the recent years, like Massachusetts hasn't had the best rep for football, but I think all of that, like just with the exposure of media, people are seeing that that's not really been true. And so like being a kid from Everett, being able to see like Isaiah on the Ravens and all these guys like really playing at a high level, I think it just shows you that it can happen. I think that it's a form of representation for the athletes here and around Massachusetts and Boston, and they can say like this guy that went to my school is doing it, so why can't I? So I think it's huge. Yeah, and you hit it right on the head because now nationally Massachusetts is getting a lot more players recognized in the Division I, the high major schools are now they're coming in here. It seems like every year at least 5 or 10 kids from Mass will see playing like big time college football on these big conferences. So it's definitely a great thing. If they want to contact you, if they want to learn more about Athletes in Christ, and if they want to learn more about what you guys are doing, please let them know how they can reach you. Yes, sir. Yeah, you can reach me on Instagram or Twitter, Christian Zamor _ it's right there. And for sure, get you guys into Athletes in Christ if that's something you're down for. All right, hey man, good luck with everything, man. You definitely made a name for yourself this past season, and I'm excited to see what's next for you, and glad for you to take the time to drop by the studio and chat with us. I appreciate it, man. All right, man. You guys, that's Christian Zamor, Everett High School. Yeah, make sure you follow him on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. I'm Kyle Kabongo. You guys been watching Athletes Corner. Have a good one. Big thank you to Christian Zamor for coming on and chatting with me about everything going on with him. I hope you all enjoyed that interview that we did, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.